Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel True Divine 44. You can also catch me at Facebook on True Divine, the page. Twitter and Instagram, it's The True Divine. Any likes, shares, subscribes and follows on either or both of those channels is greatly appreciated, and thank you to everybody who's doing that thus far, helping me grow this community, this dialogue, and this spiritual growth, the experiences that we're all having. It really is lovely, and the people that are coming around me, I do appreciate you all greatly and send love to you all. So this is part of the free content that I'm putting out, the daily energy readings. I've worked with energy for as long as I can remember. I played with it as a kid, could feel it, could see it, and so that's developed over time. So I play with the energies, feel them out, and then I back up that with tarot, to bring the narrative to you that you can use to give you some foresight, forearming and forewarning. Of course, always only take what resonates with you here. Don't manipulate a reading with your mind to bring in things that, you know, maybe never needed to come into your life. Also, it might not resonate with you at all, but you might be able to see these energies in somebody or something that you're dealing with, and it gives you that heads up, that foresight, that forearming and forewarning as to how to go ahead, how to navigate the situation or the person. So this is for the 9th of June 2020, and the first card is the Devil, Major Arcana, and we're dealing with so much of this energy, all of us right now. It speaks of those animalistic desires, those passions, and in a lot of ways we've stifled these. We've got two extremes in the reality. We've got this stifling of passions, you know, in relationships that don't work. We've got this stifling of passions because we've accepted labels and limitations upon that passion, or we've accepted belief systems that go against natural law regarding passions. And I'm not just talking about sex, but obviously sex is involved greatly. Any passionate creative process that really gets you, that really stirs you in your base, and you know, you feel that energy stirring. And so there's that, and then we have this extreme of the other, where there's been a lot of a push to manipulate people's passions as to control and stifle our creative process. So with the push with pornography, the push with you know, harsher pornography, sex as in just a very 3D layer thing, rather than the deep, intense, beautiful, creative thing it can be. So we have two extremes, but both being stifled, both being held up in a space where that you're stifled at the point where you haven't experienced those passions, or you haven't allowed yourself to continue to do so. You're stifled. And then there's the other extreme, where you've gotten to a point where you've gotten so used to and so indoctrinated with extreme types of passion, you know, extreme pornography, that you're finding it hard to feed that. Again, there's not enough to feed that, and then that goes into dangerous ground, because where do you go from there? So it is a case of this energy is asking us, this Devil card is asking us to balance out that animalistic desire. Use it to create, use it to propel you into something that is good for you, that is something that leads you on the path that you're supposed to be on, yes. But be very careful, because with this energy there is lots of chains that can be built at every corner. You need to know that you can be divine and sovereign and be discerning to not accept those chains. And if you do, you're adept enough, is that the word, to do the inner work regularly, to cut these chains where they need to be cut, free yourself from that box that you've been put in. And so this does speak also that there's many people, there's a lot of energies that have gotten desperate over this time of lockdown, of reset, where they were already dealing with these animalistic desires that had pushed over into the extreme, i.e. drugs, alcohol, sex. They've had a quelling of it. They haven't been able to get what they need. They haven't been able to get what is driving them, what is saying, every inch of their body is saying, I need this, I need this. And so there's a lot of desperate energies out there. There's a lot of energies that are ready to just explode because of this. And we're seeing this on the collective stage, with, you know, the staged actors going in to antagonize the crowd. And it didn't take much to get quite a bit of the crowd to go into this energy in its extreme, and unleash the frustrations that they have with self, the frustrations that they have with their control, their self-control, and they take it out yet again on something outside of themselves, because they're frightened to do this inner work. These chains have gotten a little bit too long, a little bit too thick, a little bit too hard to face. So this card is asking us to, one, recognize that in others, and not allow that energy to impact us on our individual journey, but also recognize it within ourselves. This is the time more than ever to recognize the fact that the very thing we've been distracted from for all of this time is to the inner work, how the inner work does affect the outside reality, absolutely every single time. And there's a lot of energies right now that are trying to maintain control, trying to vie for control and vie for even more control and cause even more control to seemingly be necessary. So they're begging you to you know, be triggered by whatever bomb they're throwing into the collective stage. And so it's for us to take that and use that as a push to say no more. I won't have this trigger within me. I won't have this chain locking me down. This is a huge time in history where the planets are asking us to suck in the energy that they're giving and the guidance that they're giving to free us from chains that don't serve us anymore. Relationships, belief systems, addictions, all of that and above. And there's a reason for it, because there's, you know, there's love from those planetary beings, there's love from this great mother, and you know, it has been a real disservice to ourselves to allow ourselves to be under this control system, the Roman control system. You know, it's been too long. And so there's lots for us to unpick when we're dealing with the energy of this devil card, but it's necessary. If you want to be divine and sovereign, this is the work that you have to do. This is the work, the inner work that you have to do. I've been included in this, and because these people, these things, these constructs are vying for control, they're going to be throwing so much into the collective stage to try and trigger the response so that then they can come in with the solution that they want. So it really is, if you want to talk about war, standing shoulder to shoulder with people. You know, I always say to people who I love and adore, I've got your six. And even when I fall out with them, I've got the six, because I mean it. But they're empty words. If we're going to say to somebody, I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you and go to war for your rights or to protect you, but then you're not going to do the inner work to be the strongest soldier to stand shoulder to shoulder, then really what is that? It's a half promise, it's a half effort on your behalf and towards them, the promise that you've made to them. So it's to break these chains. These chains make people act in a way that, you know, doesn't seem to reflect who they really are. But there's a part of them that can go there and that has gone there. So a lot of people might be getting a shock from people that they love, seeing a part of them that they don't recognize, that they don't like, even they didn't see before. Maybe disappointment may come into play. And yes, it's for you to take that on board, but then you go away and do that inner work as well. Find out why you're disappointed. Find out why you feel so upset regarding seeing this in another. Is it because somehow you've given too much of yourself to that other? and they've disrespected it, they haven't showed it honor, or loyalty. And so it's for you to also go in and do that inner work to say, okay, so where do I need to adjust this? Where do I need to adjust the boundaries that are comfortable for my circuit to maintain, for me not to be triggered into a response by somebody else's addiction, somebody else's lower frequencies? So there's that. The second card is the Nine of Air, and this is the feeling of nightmares. This is not sleeping. This is having ominous feelings, anxiety, upset, restlessness, and it's directly correlating to the energy of the Devil card, in that you know you're chained, you know you're bound to the wrong thing, you know that something has control over you, something outside of self, someone outside of self is controlling your decisions and controlling actually even where your passions go. And so you do put yourself in this energy of the swords, the air, the thoughts, this prison of waking up with nightmares, thinking about your passions, but then thinking about where you're trapped, thinking about the chains. So it's up to you to break these chains. It's up to you to break this mental circus regarding whatever in the 3D is holding your passions back. And again, it takes the inner work. Why am I allowing this to hold me back? What labels have I allowed myself to absorb, to relate to myself? What have I done along the way to show that I would accept this kind of behavior? So it is a very difficult day for a lot of people, where things are coming into fruition, things are coming to be seen past actions, past ways of being, past addictions, past anything that has chained you up is maybe coming to the fore today, being brought to your attention through your mind. It's for you to take it within, in your heart, and really dig deep to find where these chains are, where those links were made, where those chains were strengthened, and what you need to do, what you need to transmute, what lessons you need to take from that, or what you need to lift from yourself, in order to, away these swords, these thoughts, and therefore these chains, and be able to follow your passions and use the energy of this card in a way that serves you, that takes you forward. The last card being this lovely Page of Fire. So this is doing that inner work, breaking those chains. It gives you that fire back, it gives you that passion back that you've had before, and it's been locked up in mental prisons, that these swords creating, locking the door on the prison cell. And so for the people who can manage to do this inner work, there's this invitation to keep it moving instead of being fixed by these chains in a position that isn't right for you or isn't comfortable for you anymore. Keep it moving, find that fire. That flame is showing this Page where he wants to go. He's not necessarily navigating his way, he's letting his inner fire guide him, his inner passion guide him. This energy of this card speaks of adjusting wants, changing directions, and being mutable enough instead of fixed to do that, to let your flames dance, to let your flames guide you to where your heart is pulling you to. In doing this, again, you feed into the collective, this divinity, this sovereignty. You're not feeding into the collective, the Facebook lie, the pretendy friendships, with people who you don't resonate with anymore. That all feeds into a consent of control, of labels, of living a lie. This guy here changes his wants with his passions, and he goes with honor where he is led to go, and that feeds into the collective, this fire, this determination, this flexibility, and this flow. And creation wants to flow. It doesn't want to be fixed in this energy of a prison. On the bottom of the deck is the Six of Cups. So this is very poignant with everything we've spoken about. This speaks to times gone by, past times. Maybe you've locked yourself up in these chains because you can remember some good times. You can remember some bliss, some love in that past, but you have forgotten how much also fed into it, that past, to build these chains, to allow yourself to accept these chains, or give yourself these chains indeed. So it speaks to look into the past, and almost that, I don't know if it's a cue term, but that future proves past, in that we actually, what we do now in the present with this Page of Wands has an effect on the future. And those two, the way we act in both our present and our future, has a capacity in a lot of people's teachings. And I align with this because, you know, time, it's only here that it seems to be around, or even used. So there's this theory that, you know, what we do in the present and what we do in the future can actually change the past. So by us doing this, by us being able to be in flow in our present and our future, what are we doing then if that can change the past? How much pain are we just going to eliminate? How much division would we just eliminate? You know, those lines that we've been told we've got to have, these divisions between colours, these divisions between religions, these divisions between sexual preferences. If we were to be in flow and be sovereign in our present and future, what if it is a possibility that we can just wipe out that angst that gets passed down from generation to generation, and half of the time it's an illusion that it still exists. It only exists because people still feed into it. So the damage was done in the past, and that's all they needed to do, because then generation after generation it's being carried forward. So what about that? How huge would that be if we could just do that? When people ask, how do we go forward from here? Yes, end division. How do we do that? Stop thinking so 3D. Think all day. I don't know if that even makes sense, but, you know, think about the possibilities that don't come easily to mind, but, you know, are probably very true. And I affiliate myself with that, in that the present actions that we make, being in flow, willing to follow our passions, and therefore stand in our divinity and sovereignty, and doing that in our future, could actually change the past. So when we do say, how do we go forward from this? Well, what if we could just wipe it out? By being us, by following our soul's journey, by being the unique individuals that we are on this individual yet collective journey, all feeding into this great source, this great creative source that we can pull from. So what if we could do that? End all of that division, just by being us and following our heart, following our passions, and being truthful to ourselves. There's nothing more damaging than when we paint on a smile, paint on almost like a movie scene, knowing that it doesn't resonate with us. We hurt ourselves doing that. This guy doesn't do that. This guy moves forward. This guy's in flow. This guy follows his passion. And it's this type of energy that will maybe have the potential to wipe out all of those pains from the past, actually cause us to have a reset, the reset that we're in right now. If we're doing this, then we're feeding into that. We're feeding into maybe the possibility of a real reset, in that none of that pain is carried forward anymore from generation to generation. There's a clean page for creation to blossom in divinity, in sovereignty, and collectively. So that is the reading. Pretty heavy, but pretty empowering if you want to take those energies on and work with them. That's the reading for the 9th of June 2020. If you would like a private reading with me, any energy work, any spiritual coaching, get in touch with any of the details below. The website is nearly done. It's looking really good, so I'll be able to get some products up on there soon, and some of the services and descriptions of real soon. So until next time, much love. As always, be balanced, be whole. Love you all. Mwah.